So you got a nice pretty box in front of you that I was working on. It's mostly just a bundle of wires. It's plugged in. I just have it plugged in through a wall outlet that I think I stole from a hard disk drive, 12 volts. And if I raise it up, you can see it gives you a nice pretty purple light, which is advertised as UV because, you know, it kind of does. And it is. And it'll work fine for something that's high vis, but not for fluorescent minerals that need a smaller wavelength. So that's just something I spent a bunch of my time working on it, and basically it's worthless. So I got a whole bunch of extra LEDs coming in the mail, and you can see it works really well works super well for glow in the dark. And I have a nice little potentiometer on it so I can change how bright it is. It doesn't get too hot. It uses about 600 milliamps at 5 volts. And I just made it out of some scrap wood that I had. I tried making something out of this a long time ago. I never liked how it came out. I just happened to see it, and I drilled some holes in it. The little sheathing you see right there, that's just glued on, and it's made out of rolled milk carton. Kind of like a diffuser. So, I'm going to try remaking it, making this a little bit better. And we're going to use some more expensive LEDs. The ones that I got coming, they cost about $1 each. And the ones that I used, I think they cost about 2 cents each. But, I mean, those LEDs are perfect for glow in the dark. Like that little dye right there, that really glows. If you turn the lights off for you again. And it'll do good with things like paper, you know. Basically, anything that you get in a roller rink is going to look like that, I would say. But it's just not any good for minerals. Oh, and also, I bought some more of these wall sockets. That way I don't have to steal the one from my external hard disk drive, even though I almost never use that hard disk. This one's built with one of these, I think they're called like WB102s or something. They're converters for 5 volts to 3.3 volts, and it can take from 7 to 12. They're super cheap. They're like $1. It gets a little bit warm, but not too warm. And all of these, I have these operated by something. What the hell is it called? I'll have to write that in there because I can't remember what it's called. But the next one, I'm going to see if I can't do better with the wires. I'm going to build it a different box, probably make it out of plastic and make it a little bit bigger. And I'm also planning on putting a little DC motor with a plate on it right in here that would operate on the, well, maybe I might put a separate, I don't know. I'm thinking about putting a little rotator thing in there, so that way it rotates them. Also, if you put the Miku juice in there, it almost looks like that Nuka-Cola Quanta from Fallout. I don't think it's really doing any effect, it's just that, you know, it's a glass bottle and it's illuminating from that, but it kind of works. Yeah, it's definitely not illuminating at all, or it's definitely not reacting at all, it's just illuminating. The other light bulbs are LEDs because they're shorter wavelength. It's not so much in the human visibility. They're said to be not as bright to the human eye, but more reactive, because the problem with these ones is they do have the right kind of UV inside them, but there's so much other visible light that it's kind of like looking at stars in a city. It's like light pollution. You just can't see it, and there also just isn't as much as the proper UV wavelength. And it's just going to be a long wave. You can do medium and short wave, and they're really good. The smaller the wave, the more expensive it gets, because more of the UV gets blocked off by glasses and plastic, so they got to do special things. And then at that point, you're spending $10 a bulb, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my best to keep that in focus, but what I tried to do for that other one, well, what I started to try to do, is I was going to have a switch that goes to two different directions, and one switch would turn on standard white light and the other one would turn on the UV light. So that's why I put the transistors in there. But then I also wanted to put a 555 timer on there. Not that it needs timing, but what I was going to do is I was going to have that timer run into those transistors. Those transistors would then power capacitors on each side, but the capacitors are going to go both ways because the capacitor would try to go both ways, so I'd have to put a diode in there. And then at that point I realized I was just making a really shitty buck converter. So I decided to use one of those buck converters we got. And that's probably the reason I bought those. But I had just forgotten. And also I decided to take the white lights out because... So I took the whole switch out. So I didn't need those transistors. I still had them in there. You can't really tell because, you know, I got it all super glued up and stuff, but... Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't really think it through.